I accidentally made an entire room go quiet once.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it was a meeting. Someone said, we should completely change the plan.
Okay.
And I said, no, that doesn't make sense.
Oh no.
The room went silent. Not normal quiet. The bad quiet.
The why did you say it like that? Quiet.
Exactly. And the worst part? My English was technically correct.
Your English wasn't the problem.
That somehow sounds worse.
Don't worry. It's fixable. Hey, English learners.
Welcome back to English Without Apology.
I'm Claire.
And I'm Jake. Apparently, former destroyer of workplace energy.
Former. Today we're talking about something surprisingly important. How to disagree in English without sounding rude.
Because sometimes you're not trying to be aggressive. You're just trying to say, I don't think that's a good idea.
Exactly. And in English, especially American English, it's not always your opinion that creates tension. Sometimes it's how fast the disagreement arrives.
Wait. So people hear the emotion first?
Often, yes, before they even hear your reason.
Oh, wow. That explains a lot.
Quick question before we continue. Have you ever disagreed in English and later realized that you sounded harsher than you meant to?
If yes, trust me, you are definitely not alone.
Let's go back to the meeting. You said, no, that doesn't make sense.
So basically, I walked into the conversation with a hammer.
A very confident hammer.
Great.
But this is important. Usually the problem isn't the opinion, it's the opening.
Wait, so if my first word is no, people hear rejection before explanation?
Exactly. The conversation starts closing before your idea even arrives.
Wow. So sometimes my grammar isn't the problem.
Sometimes it's the social temperature.
Okay. That phrase is painfully useful.
And here's the good news. You don't need softer opinions.
Just softer openings.
Yes, exactly. A softer opening doesn't make you weak. It just tells the other person, I heard you. Then you disagree.
So I'm not watering down my opinion. I'm making it easier to hear.
Exactly. You're still honest. You're just not entering the conversation with a hammer.
Which apparently has been my strategy.
Okay, let's make this real. 3 situations where English learners accidentally sound harsher than they mean to. Imagine your friend says, I think online classes are way better than in-person classes.
Okay. Old me would say, no, that's wrong.
Very hammer energy.
Apparently my brand.
Try this instead. I see your point, but
I see your point, but I actually learn better in person.
nice. Same disagreement, less emotional damage. Okay, meeting situation. Someone says, we should completely change the plan.
Ah, yes. My personal trauma.
Growth opportunity? Try this. That makes sense, but I'd say
That makes sense, but I'd say we should test the idea first.
good. Collaborative, not combative.
Wait, so I'm not becoming softer. I'm becoming easier to work with?
Exactly. Honest, just not explosive.
Okay. What if someone really cares about their opinion?
Then try this. I can see why you'd think that, but
I can see why you'd think that, but I feel differently about it.
good. Because now you're disagreeing without sounding like you're rejecting the person.
Wow. That actually feels more human.
Okay, same meeting. Someone says, we should completely change the plan.
Okay. I see your point, but actually, that sounded stiff.
Good catch. Try again.
I see your point, but I think we should keep part of the original plan.
Better. Much more collaborative.
Yeah, that feels less defensive.
Exactly. Now keep the disagreement clear.
That makes sense, but I'd say we should test the idea first.
Nice. That sounds like someone people actually want in meetings.
Huge improvement for me personally.
One more, this time for a more sensitive moment.
I can see why you'd think that, but I worry changing everything now could create more problems.
Very good. Same disagreement, completely different energy.
Okay. This is what I actually needed. Not different opinions. Different entrances. Okay. If I forget everything today, what's the one thing I should remember?
You don't need softer opinions, just softer openings.
So the goal isn't to become quieter. It's to become easier to hear.
Exactly.
So basically, I can disagree in English without making the room weird.
That is absolutely the goal. This week, try one softer opening before you disagree.
Just once. Then come back and tell us what changed.
If this episode helped you, subscribe. New episodes every week. Real English. Real situations. Real conversations.
I really wish someone had told me this years ago.
Better late than rude.
That is annoyingly good. And next episode?
Next episode, what to do when you know exactly what you want to say, but your brain starts translating first.
Oh no. The 5-second delay.
Exactly. When the conversation keeps moving and your English feels stuck.
Yeah. That one feels painfully personal.
We had a feeling.
Thanks for being here today.
We really appreciate you.
See you next time.
Bye.